Good morning, good afternoon, depending where you are. Welcome to our fall 2025 Future of Work with Microsoft Copilot. It is episode 5. It's October 7th, 2025, and today we are going to be talking about Copilot Analyst, Thinking Deeper. My name is Jeff Lizerbaum. I'm a pre-sales solutions architect here at Managed Solution, and I am very happy to have alongside with me Yotam Boyani. Yotam, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Jeff, thank you so much for having me today. My name is Yotam. I'm a senior at San Diego State. I graduate this December in computer science, and it's an ever evolving field, so it's definitely something we have to, stay ahead and keep up with. But as a BDR, business development representative at Managed Solution, it's really interesting to see how all of the things that I'm learning in school contributes to this holistic kind of idea of how AI is so important in the workplace. And so it's definitely a tool that we need to take advantage of, and I'm very appreciative to be part of that process.
Awesome. I was going to say that, with being a business development rep here at Managed Solution and a student of computer science, I would kind of consider you as Special Agent Yotam. And, hey, for this, I'm going to be Special Agent Jeff because Copilot Analyst, it's that detective. It's going to really give us some deep thinking capabilities to be able to pull out data and making it meaningful. And so we're going to do a little detective work ourselves, if you don't mind.
Looking forward to it. Special agent reporting from HQ.
All right, let's get into it. Analyst, I kind of wanted to break this out into its own topic because it's pretty interesting and it kind of stands out on its own on its capabilities. So let's first of all define what Copilot Analyst is. So in a nutshell, it's a data expert. It's kind of like having Tom at my side, being able to get me some, real deep data analytics. The other thing is that what Copilot Analyst does is that it connects various things. One thing I really love about it, and Yotam, you might have something to say about this, but with AI in general, you could just ask it like it's a part of your team, right?
Absolutely. And the bounds are limitless when it comes to just how much it can do for you day to day. And it shows that it can even be refined throughout the day, throughout your months, weeks, months, and years of using it so that it actually starts to get to know you a little better, whether you like it or not. But it's definitely something that is a force to be reckoned with.
But one thing about Analyst, which is very specific, is that its ability to turn numbers into stories. So based on some unstructured data, you can throw that unstructured data to it, and it's going to start putting it together in very clear summaries and stories, and really, from very technical data all the way to an executive level summary. That's what I love about what Copilot Analyst does, and we're going to show some examples of exactly that. Now, given that it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, the thing that really stands out is that it's using Microsoft security and privacy standards. So your data is protected. It's under Enterprise Data Protection by Microsoft, which is a very clear delineation between what Copilot is versus what other chat agents are out there in the world. So again, with Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we always want to be aware of our surroundings and our data and how to protect it. With Copilot Analyst, you can kind of consider this as the secret agent that won't quit. It's going to be after the data no matter what. So as it mentions here, your data can run, but it can't hide. It's going to find it, it's going to format it, it's going to chart it, it's going to give it the output that you really need. If the data kind of looks a little innocent, it's going to really do its job to uncover really what it is. Also, what Analyst does is that literally it interrogates the data over and over again. So there are examples that when I've used it where it'll say, hey, you know what? I kind of failed on finding the proper information in this method. I'm going to use another method of say like Python scripting in order to uncover that data. So it really doesn't stop until it really gives a good set of results there. And you'll kind of find that certain prompting might take a little bit longer than others because it is very thorough. So speaking of its thoroughness, I wanted to show a use case for someone like me or someone like you who might be living in the Microsoft world where we go into customer tenants using PowerShell. And in the day, we would use a tool and one of the modules called Connect MSOL Service. So the thing about Microsoft is that they're always making changes. Now, I'm going to use Copilot Analyst to be able to resolve an issue that you might have run into maybe in the last year or so where you're trying to run some Microsoft Online modules and you come across some errors. And the thing is that the error is that you're forbidden to connect or there's a client authentication issue. So when I go into Copilot Analyst, I just kind of want to see what that error equates to, and sure enough, it shows that that module has been retired, and we can no longer use it because it was based on some basic authentication. So instead, I want to ask Analyst to recreate the same script that I used in the past that was using the old PowerShell modules and translate it into the newer MG Graph modules. So the Microsoft Graph modules, usually from the PowerShell SDK, are what's commonly used today because there's much more security built around them. So as I prompt it to kind of convert it into a Microsoft Graph commandlet, I can see that there's some other things that it asks. It likes to include some authentication information, and sure, I would like that as well. So as it goes through, it creates it. It also gives me some description exactly of what it's doing. And so I'm going to try out the script. I copied it. I'm going to use a newer version of PowerShell because MG Graph loves also newer versions of PowerShell. And here's the script that Copilot Analyst created for me. I'm going to click Run. And as you can see, it even included a really nice timer to show, how much is left to process through all of the objects in this tenant. So really neat. I mean, some things that used to take a long time to learn from the old to the new PowerShell techniques and the newer modules, it actually makes it a lot quicker. And it also gives you a lot of information of an explanation of what's being used. But that is one of the use cases that I really love about it. So what do you think, Yotam?
Oh, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, we've seen AI evolve from basically just being a glorified Google search engine to the way it is now. We're able to plug in massive amounts of data only for it to be broken down and torn apart to pieces that are easily digestible. And Copilot does a great job of just summarizing it in a way that you like. You can ask for it to graph it, to chart it in any way, and make it as user friendly as possible. And so something that would take hours, days, months, would be a whole funded project, can be done in as little as minutes with the way that Copilot runs with Python. It's incredible.
So another very unique thing about Copilot Analyst is its usage of Python. Now, for those who are not too aware of what Python is, don't worry, it's not a big scary snake that's after us all. It's actually a very popular programming language. And the reason why it's used is because it provides a lot of the engine that drives Copilot Analyst and its ability to do quick learning. And it's really the top choice for developers because there's just a lot of support. And don't take my word for it. Maybe Yotam, with some of your expertise with working in Python, can you tell me a little bit more about why it is popular and why it might be used in this case?
No, that's definitely a great question. And when it comes down to brass tacks, Python is simply the most simple language when it comes to coding. And because it follows the English language more closely than others, it allows us to follow along and see this logical train of thought when we're coding.
Would you say that it's probably the most common language nowadays for like AI and machine learning? Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely, absolutely. Its base state just allows for their it just allows to be, so cohesive with data in general. And so just because of that, it appears to be the most functional so far. It's also the most user friendly. So it's you may need to take a
Yeah.
couple classes to understand it, but it's not that big a deal.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. So now, to tell you the truth is that, attendees who are watching this webinar, you don't need to be a coder. You don't need to understand how to put together programming languages at all. Analyst actually does all of that for you, and we're going to see, we're showing some examples of how that is done and where it appears. But it is good to know because that is the language that drives everything. And again, because of the security nature of it, Python is usually the preferred language, especially in very like high compliant areas like banking, healthcare, government. You'll see Python as kind of the behind the scenes coding language for applications that are presented in those types of verticals. So definitely a common and very popular community driven type of language there. And that's really why Copilot is using it first and foremost. So let's walk through how Copilot Analyst uses Python in order to read a large set of data. So in front of me, I have this spreadsheet. It's an Excel spreadsheet, CSV file. It has probably over 100,000 rows of data. And I'm going to use Analyst to throw the data to it and see what it can come up with. So here we go. We'll go ahead and attach that file. I'm going to let it upload to Copilot Analyst, and I'm not even going to prompt it anything. Let's just see what it comes out with to see how it interprets this really large spreadsheet. Right away, it's using Python code. It's known as importing pandas, which is it's a module for being able to read tabular information. So right off the bat, it knows exactly what features and modules to use within Python. As it's going through, it's giving me summaries of, hey, this file is used for audio features. And we're going to find out a little bit more as it goes through the summary. Right here, it summarizes, it pauses, and it summarizes what the data set is, what the column types are, what a sampling preview of the data looks like, some statistical summaries. But what I love about this is the use cases because I want to get to the root of it and I want to find out what is this actually used for, and it says it's used for genre classification models. I'm guessing probably something that Apple Music or Spotify might use in order to decipher what types of genres there are and how it does music matching. So from this perspective, as we let Copilot Analyst do its thing, we can actually open up and expand every step of the way of what it's doing, whether it's a coding and execution. We can read what that underlying Python code is in case we are interested. But it also gives us in plain English what it's doing in terms of reviewing, compiling, and finalizing any kind of summaries here. So I'm kind of clicking through here just to explore some of the things. I might not even understand what the coding is itself, but it's pretty interesting and it's a good learning process too on how it thinks. Now, it's going to pause. It's going to give me some other things. What would you like to do with this? And I'm going to create some visualizations because it says, hey, would you like to create some visualizations on the data? Sure. So I'm going to go through the same thing. I'm going to let it run, go through some of the steps. And the result is that sure enough, it's giving me some spectral distribution models. It's also giving me a heat map of the genres to see where do common genres intersect, which is really interesting. And this image here that I could download, it's not a small resolution. It's actually a really high resolution image showing the output of this heat map. So a lot of really cool data that you can get out of this very quickly. Now, one thing that I must do in my position is help translate the technicalities to an executive, and I'm going to actually ask Copilot Analyst to me the results in more of a layman summary. So here we go. It gives me pretty much a nice summary of what the data is, what it includes, pitch, tone, loudness, energy, brightness, sharpness, those types of things. What does this data mean? Well, it's an analysis to show how similar sounds are grouped together, and it identifies patterns. The real world applications, I love this. What is this used for? And hey, I was right. It's used for things like Apple Music and Spotify. So you can really get a good idea of how to generate this in a well summarized fashion for someone who just kind of needs to see what this data is about. Now, our past episode, we went into Copilot Create to create some infographics, and that's what I'm doing here so that I can put it into a nice summarized document with some visualizations and some infographics there. So pretty neat stuff. So Yotam, I know that as we looked at this data earlier, you may have noticed something that Copilot Analyst did. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, and I think the really interesting thing is, I mean, you can't expect anyone to do a job perfectly the first time, especially AI, but maybe that's temporary. We'll see about the future. But the first thing I notice is that right over here, the set of data that we're working with from a statistician perspective is that it's a little inconsistent. But when we continue, when we scroll down, actually look forward, Copilot noticed an opportunity to make the data more predictable, turn it into a trend, a flow chart that's easier for us to work with. And so because Copilot detected that, it used a different classifier to make it more digestible and make the data more feasible for us to understand, which is, I guess humble, you could say.
Yeah. And by the way, Yotam, you're a musician in the background as well, so maybe you're a triple agent in this matter, but
well, I would say I would not put it past AI to be able to break down something as complex as music. I mean, what a world we live in. That's incredible.
Going even further, we can see that there's actually more of a spectral examination of things that are between like the classical genres of music to the what is this? This is metal, and the blue is more like blues. I guess that's appropriate. But it really puts it into action in terms of the types of data, the visualizations that come out of it, really based on a file that I didn't even give it a prompt. I just threw it over the file. If I gave it more context of what I wanted to do, I would probably even get richer information back. But again, this is the example of what Copilot, just based on analyzing a huge set of data, can do right away. Anything else to mention there, Yotam, on these points?
Absolutely. And it's actually interesting enough. A lot of the experiences that we have with prospects and with customers, especially a managed solution, are people who are interested in custom AI agents that are based off of a very defined database. And the really cool part about that is that we don't want people accessing data that should not be accessed, whether it's salary information or personal information about other coworkers or your boss, etc. So the whole idea of AI being implemented in the workplace is really awesome, but the caveat means that we have to heighten our security.
Absolutely. Awesome. Yotam, thank you very much for joining this webinar and providing your insight, both from being a computer scientist, soon to be, from San Diego State University. That's something to be very proud of, but also, being a part of our business in terms of, being our business development rep.
Of course. No, again, the honor and pleasure was mine. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate these webinars. It really gives, a lot of useful information to those searching for it. So please feel free to check us out.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of checking this out, if you head on over to managesolution.com/events, you'll be able to see some of the upcoming events. So during this fall season of our Copilot webinars, we've covered a lot of topics, but up and coming, we're going to be diving into Copilot agents. We're going to really see how agents become part of our digital teammates and be able to get data, whether it's using researcher, analyst, Copilot chat, numerous types of use cases for that. We're also going to be covering later on as far as being able to do a lot more automation with Copilot Studio. So there's going to be a deep dive into using Copilot Studio from that perspective. As you scroll below on our website, you can also catch some of the on-demand videos, and these are the past videos that we've done in our series. So if you miss some of them, you can always go and watch now. Click on any of those watch now buttons to register, and you'll get the recording of the past sessions that we did with Copilot. But with that said, Yotam, always appreciated to work with you and especially to have you on this session.
No, thank you so much again. Double Agent out.
Over and out. Hey, at this point, we're going to take some questions from the audience, and we'll take them live. So hang on there, and we're going to give you some responses there. So otherwise, have a really good day.